And I want to talk more about DIY video marketing, the sort of do-it-yourself aspect. And I've put together basically some very simple tips that have been really helpful for me as I've moved into teaching more online, spending more time on video marketing. So again, for those of you who joined a little late, this is Sarah Benoit. I'm the co-founder of the JB Media Institute. And just to give you an idea of how essentially video is affecting the world right now, I've put together just a few stats I thought were really interesting. So there's over 500 million people watching video on Facebook every day. Internet video traffic will be over 80% of all consumer internet traffic within 4 years. And 64% of consumers purchase after watching branded social video content. So especially in the social media world, we see video having a great impact. And then, according to Incivia, almost 50% of internet users looking for videos related to a product or service are doing that before they visit a store. So if you have a physical location, video can still be really valuable in getting people to come to your physical location. 4 times as many customers would rather watch a video about a product than read about it. So most of us already know this, but a lot of people would prefer to watch a quick video about a product or service instead of reading. That's kind of a typical trend these days, especially with the high use of mobile devices. And people spend an average of 2.6 times more time on pages with video. So when you're building a website, adding video to your website pages can be really valuable. And Glenn, I see your question there. The pros and cons of self-produced shoestring budget versus hiring a professional to make it more creative and polished. So the truth is, again, this goes back to what are you doing with your videos? In the social media world, we would actually, from studies, we can see that people don't mind having some professional, more expensive video on social media, but they actually like to see a mixture. So you may put out a small number of really commercial videos during the year and then do a larger number of DIY videos. And on most social media channels, that's what people would want to see. Mostly because on social media, people don't want to see only commercialized content. And if the video is too slick and too produced, people feel like essentially it's just a commercial. It's not something that's really just, authentic and is the business sort of sharing an experience or talking about a product really firsthand or getting a testimonial from somebody. So that's always the first question. Is this for just your website? Is it for social media? Are you vlogging? Are you podcasting? What exactly is it that you plan to do with the video content? And from there, you have to make decisions about whether or not you're going to spend the money to have higher produced types of video content or you're going to buy equipment and learn to use it on your own. Yeah, so essentially he's a great example, of doing both. So I think it's really, you have to be realistic about your budget. So if your budget only allows you to do one really high production level video a year or maybe 2, then that's fine. And then figure out how you can dovetail into doing more DIY video. Although I think when you're doing DIY, it's still important to make sure that you test your camera, test your mic, set it up in whatever area you're going to be in and see how it looks. Make sure the lighting is correct. Test which clothing looks better. So you do have a learning curve that you need to spend some time understanding what works on camera and what doesn't. Or like for me, I had to learn how to use Camtasia to do my edits of my videos. Yeah, and so Danielle, I see your comments, and Danielle's going to be at our event next week. She's a great video marketing strategist, and video does have to be a direct reflection of your brand. So if your brand is higher end, then you need to make that investment. That's a really good point, Danielle, so thanks for saying that. And also, audio really is key when you're DIYing your video. One of the most important things is that you've chosen a good microphone, you know how to use it, and people can hear what you're saying. The number one way to lose your viewers is for that audio to not be clear or good. And I've learned that the hard way. So thanks for those additional thoughts, Danielle. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. People will watch, do it yourself sort of not as high quality videos as long as they can hear what's happening. As soon as the audio gets bad, you pretty much lose the vast majority of the audience, if not the entire audience. So let's get into the tips so we don't run out of time today. The first tip I want to give is know your purpose. So essentially, when it comes to video, I think, and this goes to what we're just talking about here, with making the decision of what types of video you're going to do, and getting clear with your brand, I think that's connected into knowing your purpose. So I say ask yourself these questions. Why are you creating video content? Who does the content serve? And what do you want your viewers to do? Right? So it's really important that the video content have value for your audiences. It has to provide them with something entertaining or educational or useful. A lot of times we talk about intent in digital marketing being informational, transactional, or navigational. And that basically means either people are investigating, they want more information, they're either trying to learn about a product or service that they actually want to purchase or buy, or they're actually looking for a specific brand, which is the navigational aspect. So think about why you're doing video and what is the purpose of not just the video strategy in general, but then each individual piece of content has to have its own purpose as well. And I think if you start to ask those questions, and I worked on this when we originally started teaching online, you start to be able to make decisions about what type of equipment, what type of quality makes sense, and so forth. Tip number 2 is, to then put together your tool list. So once you know your purpose, you're going to be able to choose those tools. So what social media networks does your audience use? What are your competitors successfully using? So I have one client who wanted to make more video. They had seen one of their competitors using a tool called Animoto. And Animoto allows you to create your own videos pretty easily for an affordable fee online. So we got that idea, and then he went ahead and started using that tool. Do different niches need different types of content, right? So is there long form video that you need to create for some members of your audience, or does everybody want shorter versions of things? And again, you need to show up for your audiences wherever they are online when it comes to choosing your tools. And again, we're talking more about broadcasting tools than we are hardware right now, because hardware is sort of a whole other kind of ball of wax that's a little individual when it comes to each person's business. But when it comes to actually distributing your videos and getting it out there, is it going to go on your website? Is it going on Vimeo, YouTube? It's better to kind of have a small number of tools that you use really well and you broadcast regularly, get your message out, I think, than it is to try to use a large number of tools. So that's a typical social media rule of thumb that I use. So if you've only got time to really work within, one or two social networks and produce really great video content there, then do that. And anytime you introduce a new tool, please make sure that you are realistic and you learn how to use it. And Nancy, what we're talking about, like I said, is distribution tools. So how do we get our message out? Once we create the video, how do we actually distribute it to people or broadcast it to people? And so that's going to be social media, your website, e-newsletters, all of those different things that we talk about in digital marketing. Tip 3 is establish your style. So one of the things that I think comes up for most people is, what kind of style do you want to have? This again goes back to Danielle's comment about brand. Justin and I do a lot of video at this point in the game. However, a lot of times we're showing people presentations, we're showing them how to use different tools, we're giving them examples. So we opt to not use the style of having our faces on screen. And that's very typical in the educational world. I actually met with a lot of professors who teach online about the value of putting your face on the video versus not putting your face on the video. And there were some really good reasons for not having my talking head there. Other people, like a coach, might have videos with their face on it all the time because that's a huge part of how they're making connections with people. So Use your brand as the cornerstone. What makes you and your team comfortable? So whoever's working on the video content, what type of style works for you? Are you good at memorizing a script, or are you more sort of improv oriented? I know for a fact I don't do well when I have to memorize a script. That's not something that's gonna help me shine when I'm doing video content, so I stay away from that. Does the value of the video increase when you have a person on screen, or you show a product, or you include graphics or music? So again, there's so many different ways you can use video. Use your brand as that cornerstone, and then can you make the audiences more engaged by adding different things? And then how do you want people to feel while they watch and after they watch? So again, we talked about how if your brand is higher end, you need to create videos that give people that high end feeling, right? Something that's really elegant, really beautiful. And yeah, Danielle's saying feeling is so important because the emotional connection is what makes the video really stick with people. It's what allows them to remember it. It's what allows them to click that share button and tell other people. So the more intentional your style is, the more effective you're going to be. Tip 4 is create a consistent schedule. So if I'm doing YouTube or Facebook video, Twitter video, Instagram video, I really want to think about how frequently I'm going to be able to create this content and distribute it. And if I can, I really want to come up with some consistency. So if I have products, I might want to feature a product every week. If I have events, I might want to feature an event once a month, something of that nature. But the more that you can engage people by giving them an expectation that they can watch something, the more you might have success. And this doesn't work for every single person. This is just a tip to consider. So who's involved in creating the content, and what are they going to do? How frequently can they realistically get this stuff done? How are you going to brainstorm and outline topics in advance? And then can you have some sort of project management or Google Calendar or a spreadsheet that allows you to really see what topics you've covered, what type of content's gone out over the last 2 months or 6 months or 12 months. And that way you are able to really kind of pay attention to whether or not you're addressing all of your audiences. You want to make sure you don't repeat the same topic unless you really mean to. And again, be patient and try different ideas and approaches. And then finally, tip 5, track and report on your results. So a lot of video tools out there give you a ton of different ways for free to actually track how many views you have, how long people are watching the video. So knowledge is power. When you're doing video content, in my personal opinion, you really want to start to know the number of views, how long people typically watched, which videos really were the big wins, which ones really engaged people and got more shares or more comments. Because what you're going to try to do as you move forward producing additional video is you really want to make sure that you're able to actually, kind of not necessarily redo the same thing over, but build off of your success. So yeah, keeping track of what's happening and then reviewing that data is going to really help you. Being able to measure your success in some way is really going to help you in the future to hopefully attain more success. So Brené Brown says, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. So I just want to encourage everybody as we wrap up today to definitely put yourself out there. Consider video as a new medium if you've never tackled it before. And if you are dipping your toe or you've already, jumped in all the way, think about how you can really continue to get more organized and more consistent and evaluate your results. So if there's any final questions, I know we're right at 1 o'clock, but I'm glad to take them. And for those of you who are asking questions about our upcoming event and you are in Asheville, Danielle, who's been joining us in the chat, and I are going to be doing a great half-day boot camp that's a more in-depth dive into DIY video marketing. It's called Express Yourself, Overcoming Resistance to DIY Video. And we're going to have an amazing panel of 5 women who have jumped in all the way and are doing their own video content every week and every month and sometimes multiple times per week. And they're just going to share their experiences and share how they kind of pushed themselves, took that challenge to get outside of their comfort zone and participate in this new medium that's become really popular for individuals and for businesses. And so again, if you have any questions, feel free to chat them in, and I am glad to answer them. But again, you have some additional resources that you will get with this PDF. So you can all expect an email with a recording of this webinar, as well as a downloadable PDF so you can look at all of the different examples. And Nancy, yeah, the event on April 10th is from 8:30 to 1. It's a morning class. And again, we'll send you some information about that you can click on. You can purchase tickets still right on Eventbrite, and I'll make sure that Jenna includes that when she emails out the link to get a download and a copy of this recording. But thank you all so much for joining us for our digital drop-in. We will have our next digital drop-in the first Wednesday of May, which I believe is May 2nd. So we hope that you'll consider joining us then. But in the meantime, good luck. And again, for those of you who are interested in talking about equipment, please feel free to reach out to me at Sarah with an H at jbmediagroupllc.com. And I'm glad to just sort of provide some feedback and talk about hardware and all of that good stuff. So thank you all so much and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your participation today.